Iran is claiming its Fattah 2 hypersonic missile could destroy the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier.
A lot of very big, very powerful ships sailing to Iran right now.
Pressure is mounting on Iran with its Revolutionary Guards formally blacklisted as a terror group by the EU. It comes as the nation edges closer to conflict with the US, with American warships now within striking distance.
Iran says negotiations cannot take place under threat after US President Donald Trump warned Tehran to make a deal or face a military attack.
When Donald Trump promises you something, he will deliver. To the Iranian people, President Trump has your back.
And Iran is broadcasting this threat as the American supercarrier moves within striking range of Iranian territory. The core of Iran threat is the Fattah 2 missile, which utilizes a hypersonic glide vehicle. Unlike traditional ballistic missiles that fly in a predictable high arc, the Fattah 2 separates from its booster and glides along the upper atmosphere at speeds exceeding Mach 13. Its defining feature is its maneuverability. It can change course mid-flight, making it incredibly difficult for United States Navy interceptor algorithms to predict where it will be 5 seconds from now. Iranian state media claims the missile can reach speeds of Mach 15 and strike targets up to 1,400 kilometers away, placing virtually the entire Persian Gulf and Arabian Sea within range. Iran unveiled the Fattah 2 in November 2023 as a successor to Fattah 1, with a hypersonic glide vehicle designed for high speed and extreme maneuverability. According to Iranian statements, Fattah 2 can travel at speeds up to Mach 15 and strike targets up to 1,400 kilometers away, though analysts have cast doubt on these claims, noting that Fattah 1 has not proven itself to be operational. Before we break down exactly what happened and why this matters so much, please make sure you subscribe. We are giving you the real analysis nobody else will touch. On November 10, 2022, during the 11th anniversary of the death of Hassan Tehrani Moghadam, known as the father of Iranian missiles, Iran announced it had built an advanced hypersonic ballistic missile, calling it a major generational leap. Brigadier General Amir Ali Hajizadeh, IRGC Aerospace Force commander, said the missile has a high velocity and can maneuver below and above Earth atmosphere. He said it can breach all systems of anti-missile defense and added that it may take decades before a system capable of intercepting it is developed. The missile was unveiled in a ceremony on June 6, 2023. Iran may have used Fattah 1 missiles in strikes against Israel. On October 1, 2024, identified Fattah 1 debris from both the October 1 strikes and the April 2024 Iranian strikes against Israel. On June 18, 2025, Iran claimed it once again launched hypersonic missiles at Israel in a renewed round of overnight strikes, showing the missile has moved from development to operational deployment. Think about what Iran is actually threatening. Iranian officials claim the Fattah could reach speeds of Mach 15 and evade known air defense systems. With a reported range of 1,400 kilometers, the missile is capable of striking targets across the Middle East, including Israel and United States military installations. The Fattah 2, a more advanced version, was introduced later with enhanced maneuverability and precision. Iranian sources stated this missile could alter its trajectory mid-flight, a key feature of hypersonic glide vehicles, allowing them to bypass missile shields and strike high-value targets with precision. According to analysts, Iran may have already used the Fattah 1 missile against Israel, with wreckage appearing in both April and October 2024 strikes. A major challenge for the USS Abraham Lincoln radar is the physics of hypersonic flight. Traveling at Mach 13 creates friction so intense the missile becomes surrounded by superheated plasma. This plasma absorbs radio waves, potentially creating a blind spot for radar sensors during certain phases of flight. While not completely invisible, this effect delays detection, reducing reaction time for the USS Abraham Lincoln defensive systems from minutes to mere seconds. The Fattah 2 travels at speeds between Mach 5 and Mach 20, fast enough to reduce reaction time for defense systems dramatically. For comparison, modern fighter jets reach a maximum of around Mach 2. But here's the first shocking twist. Before firing a shot, the USS Abraham Lincoln would use its ANSLQ-32 V-27C Whip Block III electronic warfare system. This system projects non-kinetic energy, designed to fry delicate guidance electronics of incoming missiles. Because the Fattah II relies on complex sensors to steer through the atmosphere, it becomes vulnerable to high-powered jamming, which can confuse its internal gyroscope or blind its terminal seeker. This could cause the missile to crash into the ocean, miles away from the target, without being intercepted. This represents a fundamental weakness in Iran's hypersonic threat. The missile extreme speed and maneuverability depend entirely on functioning electronics, which can be disabled remotely. Military simulations suggest that a single hypersonic missile has a low probability of penetrating the Aegis shield protecting the USS Abraham Lincoln. To succeed, Iran would need to launch a massive swarm, firing dozens of ballistic and hypersonic missiles simultaneously to overwhelm the ship fire control computers. The precision-guided two-stage missile can hit targets within a range of 1,500 kilometers with a velocity of Mach 15. Measuring 12 meters in length, it can carry 200 kilograms of explosives. It is capable of significant trajectory changes during flight to evade defense systems. While the missile can accelerate outside Earth atmosphere, its aerodynamic control surfaces allow for steering within the atmosphere. State television said Iran Fattah missile can target the enemy advanced anti-missile systems and represents a major technological leap in missile development. Iran state television claimed it can bypass the most advanced anti-ballistic missile systems of the United States and the Zionist regime, including Israel Iron Dome. Fattah top speed reached Mach 14 levels. Then came the second devastating revelation. The Fattah II made its combat debut in the most significant Iran-Israel military escalation to date. During Israel Operation Rising Lion, targeting Iranian nuclear and military facilities, Iran responded with Operation True Promise 3, launching more than 150 ballistic missiles and more than 100 drones toward Israel. Multiple Fattah II hypersonic missiles were launched during Iran's retaliatory strike. These were used strategically to penetrate and overwhelm Israel's advanced missile defense systems, including Arrow 2 and Arrow 3. During the recent 12-day conflict, these limitations became clear. Israel failed to intercept any of Iran's new ballistic missiles. Iran Defense Minister Brigadier General Aziz Nasserzadeh stated that the missiles used during the recent 12-day conflict were developed several years earlier, while today, Iran possesses far more advanced missile capabilities. He noted that the missiles used in the 12-day war against Israel belong to earlier generations, and stressed that Iran now possesses missiles with far greater capabilities ready for deployment. A defining feature of Fattah II lies in its warhead. A miniature engine activates in the final phase of flight, enabling a series of continuous maneuvers. These unpredictable movements force the missile to constantly alter its path, making it extremely difficult for interceptors to calculate its next position. But the third twist changes everything about Iran carrier-destroying claims. The real problem Iran faces is not the missiles, but the difficulty of striking a moving target. Hypersonic missiles are ineffective without a near-real-time satellite system and command control structures in place. Experts argue that unless Iran bridges this intelligence gap, an attack on the USS Abraham Lincoln would remain largely symbolic. Aircraft carriers are always difficult to target, and a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier has the ability to move at speeds of over 25 knots, with frequent changes in direction to avoid predictable patterns. This, combined with the fact that the carrier is always escorted by cruisers and destroyers, makes it extremely difficult to strike. It has been observed that even hypersonic missiles capable of speeds above Mach 5 still require real-time targeting information to strike a moving target, something Iran does not fully possess. Iran Air Force is relatively small and outdated, largely due to sanctions that reduced its combat strength significantly. To compensate, Iran invested heavily in missiles, developing one of the most diverse missile forces in the world. This includes short-range, medium-range, and intermediate-range ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and more recently, hypersonic missiles such as the Fattah II. Iran has also repurposed certain ballistic missiles for anti-ship attacks, which appeared when Houthi forces attacked ships in the Gulf of Aden, using drones and missiles provided by Iran. Overall, the arsenal is dangerous, but it requires accurate targeting information to strike effectively. The USS Abraham Lincoln operates with a sophisticated multi-layer missile defense system, and the Carrier Strike Group is organized around Aegis-armed cruisers and destroyers, capable of detecting, tracking, and destroying incoming threats far out at sea. Then intelligence agencies discovered the final game-changing reality. Estimates suggest each Fattah missile costs around $200,000, far cheaper than American cruise missiles like the Tomahawk, which exceed $3 million per unit. Experts argue this cost difference shows how Iran created a major threat to expensive defense infrastructure with relatively limited investment. The outer defense layers employ electronic warfare to jam incoming missiles, while the inner layers depend on standard missile family systems, such as the RIM 174 SM-6, to intercept targets at long range. Certain missiles also possess anti-ballistic capabilities, making this a truly multi-layered defense system against many types of threats. Experts estimate that a single strike group can destroy dozens of incoming missiles or drones simultaneously, greatly reducing the chances of a successful attack. If Iran chooses to attack, it will likely rely on saturation attacks rather than precision strikes. Imagine hundreds of Shahed 136 drones, launched in waves, combined with ballistic and cruise missiles to flood and overwhelm United States defenses. Western military analysts say Iran sometimes exaggerates its missile capabilities. There is often a gap between an inert trade show display model of a rocket and an actual operational weapon system deployed in real numbers. Presumably, as of 2023, the Fattah missile was closer to a demonstration model than a fully deployed operational system. Iran previously developed the Fattah 1 as an earlier hypersonic missile platform. Hypersonic missiles are typically defined not only by their ability to reach speeds in excess of Mach 5, but also by their ability to maintain such speeds, while making significant maneuvers within the atmosphere during flight. Although the Fattah missile may fit this description, it is largely in a class of its own, in terms of how it achieves this. The two main types of hypersonic missiles under development across the world are hypersonic gliders and hypersonic cruise missiles, and the Fattah, a ballistic missile with an extra solid rocket motor in its re-entry vehicle, is neither. The Fattah 1 missile consists of a large solid rocket booster plus a small solid rocket motor situated inside the re-entry vehicle for terminal maneuvering. The latter is a post-boost propulsion system, and these are not traditionally counted as stages. Think about what this actually means for Iran carrier-destroying claims. The Fattah represents an impressive technological achievement for a nation under severe sanctions. But the missile effectiveness against a moving aircraft carrier, protected by layered defenses, remains highly questionable. Iran lacks the satellite constellation necessary for real-time targeting updates, and without those updates, a hypersonic missile becomes just an extremely fast projectile aimed at where the carrier was, not where it currently is. Iran, which lost between a third and half of the ballistic missile arsenal it had prior to the June 2025 campaign, is currently managing an arms race in an attempt to rebuild its missile inventory. The Iranian arsenal before June 2025 contained about 2,500 ballistic missiles, and Iran lost about two-thirds of its launch capabilities, with about 250 launchers destroyed. Before the campaign in June 2025, the Israel Defense Forces assessment was that Iran aspired to amass an arsenal of about 8,000 ballistic missiles, which would have posed a conventional existential threat to Israel. Recently, this assessment was joined by reports stating that the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Air Force is working on developing unconventional warheads for ballistic missiles, including chemical and biological variants. Iranian officials have made bold claims about their missiles, but many questions still remain. Production is one such concern. How many missiles is Iran able to produce? Hypersonic missiles are sophisticated and usually cost a great deal to produce in large numbers. These production requirements could severely limit the number of missiles Iran is able to manufacture. Furthermore, the Fattah 1 capabilities have yet to be confirmed by Western officials and experts. Iran claims that the missile can travel at extreme speeds of Mach 15, but there is no way to verify this, unless we take Iran at its word, which, given Tehran's history of exaggerating military capabilities, seems unwise. The USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier and 3 accompanying destroyers arrived in the Middle East on Monday, placing American naval power within potential range of Iranian Fattah missiles. The carrier hosts multiple squadrons of aircraft, including F-35C Lightning II fighter jets and F/A-18 Super Hornet fighter jets, providing offensive strike capability. Meanwhile, the destroyers bring hundreds of missiles, which could include dozens of Tomahawk land attack cruise missiles, capable of striking Iranian missile production facilities and launch sites. The activity is similar to last year, when the United States moved in air defense hardware, including Patriot missile systems, in anticipation of Iranian counterattacks following the bombing of 3 key nuclear sites. Iran has also transferred Fattah variants to proxy groups including Hezbollah and militias in Iraq, expanding the potential threat beyond direct Iranian launches. Iranian and Lebanese sources confirmed these transfers in 2014, though some reports suggest transfers as early as 2007, creating a distributed missile threat across multiple launch points. In 2014, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps displayed 2 variants called Hormuz 1 and Hormuz 2. The Hormuz 1 is claimed to have anti-radiation capabilities for attacking radar systems. The original claim was that Hormuz 2 was an anti-ship variant, though images suggested it had similar capabilities to Hormuz 1, rather than the specialized targeting needed for moving ships. Another anti-ship variant is the College Fars, which has the electro-optical seeker, required to improve accuracy enough to potentially strike a moving target. Tehran claims early version College Fars entered service in 2008, but was not officially delivered to the Iranian military until March 2014, suggesting significant development delays and technical challenges. The fundamental problem remains unchanged regardless of how many variants Iran produces, or how impressive the claimed specifications sound. Hypersonic missiles are ineffective without near real-time satellite systems and command control structures that Iran simply does not possess at the level required to target a carrier strike group conducting evasive maneuvers across hundreds of square kilometers of ocean. Iran is also facing significant challenges in rebuilding its missile production capacity after the severe losses it suffered during the June 2025 campaign. Already on October 26, 2024, in an Israeli strike inside Iran, at least 12 planetary mixers were reportedly destroyed, a blow that set back the Iranian missile production program significantly. These planetary mixers are critical for creating the solid fuel that powers Iran's most advanced missiles, including the Fattah series. Financial markets are monitoring the situation closely as the potential for conflict escalates. Defense contractors are analyzing Iranian claims versus actual capability to determine the real threat level. The Pentagon is reviewing carrier protection protocols and electronic warfare countermeasures in light of Iran hypersonic missile development. Allied navies are studying the hypersonic threat and its implications for fleet operations across the region. Iranian state media continues broadcasting messages about Fattah's supposed invincibility, despite the fact that Tehran lacks the targeting infrastructure necessary for an effective carrier strike. This appears to be more of a psychological warning than a practical military threat, given Iran's current technological limitations. Tehran is attempting to project power to compensate for its conventional military weaknesses and the systematic degradation caused by years of international sanctions. The American carrier strike group, meanwhile, maintains its sophisticated layered defense systems. The electronic warfare and jamming systems can disrupt incoming missile guidance. The SM-6 interceptors provide anti-ballistic capability at extended ranges. The Aegis combat system can track and engage dozens of simultaneous threats. The CIWS close-in weapon systems provide a last line of defense against any missiles that penetrate the outer layers. Multiple escort destroyers create a protective screen around the carrier itself. Intelligence agencies are carefully assessing Iranian production capacity and actual operational readiness versus the claimed specifications that Tehran continues to broadcast. Satellite surveillance is monitoring missile production facilities and launch sites around the clock. Signals intelligence is tracking Iran command and control infrastructure, detecting the critical capability gaps in real-time targeting that would be necessary for a successful carrier strike. One thing is absolutely certain: While Iran claims the Fattah missile could destroy the USS Abraham Lincoln, the harsh reality of modern naval warfare tells a completely different story. Extreme speed and maneuverability mean nothing without the satellite tracking and real-time targeting infrastructure that Iran simply does not possess, making Tehran threats more propaganda than genuine capability against America's most powerful warship, which is protected by the world's most sophisticated naval defense systems and operates with a level of electronic warfare capability that can disable hypersonic missile guidance systems before they ever reach their target.